Welcome back to El Niño Maravilla, in process of building Excelencia La X's next album. I'm Sweets. This is Excelencia La X, and my main goal for today is talking through which payment provider is going to create the best album rollout experience for artists like Excelencia. The two options in my head are Stripe and Shopify. Stripe has been my go-to as a dev. However, on our last call, Lakis was talking a lot about how awesome Shopify was, how for his hot sauce brand, it's been a great command center. And I'm been wondering, well, maybe should we just continue to build on Shopify, keep all of your data centralized, allow you to manage everything from a place where you already feel comfortable instead of jumping across multiple different tools to manage your different products. On your side, what goals do you have for this call today?
Yeah, I wanted
outside
to.
of
I wanted to talk through the same thing as Stripe. I was having some connection issues there. We can get into it in a bit. I think Stripe could be fire just because I know that the one sort of issue we ran into with Estrella album drop was this idea that you couldn't collect the entire thing in a single transaction using credit card. You could do one token or one NFT at a time. So if Stripe solves that problem for this project, I think we got something pretty cool. So I'm good with like rolling with Stripe and moving forward with that to make this one happen. So I was talking
both
through
of them
that.
should be the same.
Really?
Sorry. Yeah. Keep going with the other things you want to talk through. I'm sorry for
Oh,
interrupting.
sure. No, you're good. I think with Shopify, I don't mind having it separated just because I do have the sauce brand, and then when I launch the new merch store, I'm gonna be on Shopify as well. So I think maybe for this, if we have Stripe, I'll have it completely separate. I've never used Stripe to accept payments, so it'll be like a clean slate. That might be pretty cool and an advantage for the project, in my opinion. I think I'll be able to manage it. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I saw I saved the message here from Russ. He shared it on his story recently because he dropped an album and now he's doing the deluxe version, and he's been sharing how he's rolling it out on DSPs, and he's doing one song at a time, but what he's calling it is an evolving album instead of a string of singles, really similar to what we did with Estrella. But apparently he's having issues because it's something to do with like Spotify and Apple, and he's having to like re-upload and reset things and like basically ask for a lot of permissions. He's going through a lot of friction with that, which I loved that I shared last year. One of the reasons I did it was because at any point I can just airdrop or mint any song and airdrop it to wallets right away. No issues, no having to start from scratch. So like people would buy it, let's say, direct, and then I was able to continue updating the album, the evolving album, with anything, right? All kinds of media, no issues, no friction. So he's having to kind of like hack and game his rollout to make it happen in the way that he's kind of like envisioning it. So I thought that was super interesting. I was like, I got to bring that up during the call because it just kind of validated more why an on-chain album or using it on-chain to roll out an album, there is some benefits to it, because you won't experience those things really. I mean, because he's the artist that he can call the distributor and direct contact to the DSP and say, hey, Russ needs a customized way of releasing his album. And even then, he's not able to get that special treatment, and he's way up there with them. I thought that was kind of interesting.
That does seem to be more of the trend recently. As you're saying that, I'm remembering Drake did the Scary Hours and then Scary Hours Part Two. Like he released the
Mhm.
first disc, and then like a week later he did the full. And Justin Bieber just did Swag, and then did
Right,
Swag Two, and it was like an album. And then he extended the album and put the first half of the album in disc.
right.
But neither of them updated the existing album. They both released an entirely separate entity on Spotify to extend it. And now it
Exactly.
seems like Russ is revealing why Spotify and Apple are not built to have evolving albums. They are built to release a finished work. And then if you want to do it, put out a totally different thing,
Exactly.
which is not adaptable to independent musicians like you that want to be trying new and innovative things. And the only place for you to experiment is to take control of the fundamental layer, which you've moved on, still on the internet. On chain
Yeah.
allows you to have that space.
Yeah.
Russ is still trying to fight inside of the same ecosystem because there's a lot of good distribution there.
Right.
Will
Right.
Russ win? What do you think that's do you think that Russ is going to continue to hit the same limits, and this is a sign that on those platforms you need to fit into their model, or do you think
Hmm.
their models will update based off of Russ's pushing to allow musicians like Russ as well as trickling down to musicians like you to have those
Yeah.
same benefits to release an evolving album?
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm thinking if he can keep pushing, they might be like, okay, we might have to adopt some kind of model for albums because technically he can use a playlist to do this. The problem is that a playlist won't count towards sales or charting or things like that. Like it can grow within Spotify, but outside of that, it won't be classified like the sales or the streams because then it's just individual songs placed into a playlist, right? So it won't count because I did that years ago. I created a playlist and I updated the playlist every week with a new song, right? So rather than a traditional album rollout, so that's kind of what he's attempting now, but he wants it to count towards like sales, streams, like collectively he wants to have that out there. And I just feel like they should be allowing us to kind of like play around with the models, the concepts. I've been thinking about like when I release Maravilla, I'm thinking, what about when I have the next album out? I would love for it to kind of show up under that. Or what if I had on Spotify Estrella, Maravilla, and then the third one, right? Like, but it's not easy, which is why I want to do it on chain or on my own kind of front end platform, and build that experience. So when people kind of they'll go into the site, they can experience all three albums, and they can kind of go in and play around and stuff like that. So again, something I'm thinking through, and maybe they'll adapt it. It seems like they're moving forward with more like that super fan tier where they just offer more access and I don't know, merch or something like that. I don't know if they want to continue experimenting with formats, but we'll see. We'll see.
Let's try to steelman Spotify and Apple Music's argument of why they've made the architecture like this. Are there valid reasons as to why they force a more static album rollout, or is it purely antiquated legacy architecture that there's no good reason to keep it that way? Could you steelman that argument of why they built it the way that they have?
Yeah, I think it's more of an industry thing. Like they're just following protocol. They're probably thinking why reinvent the wheel, right? And so, but then again, going back to what you said, independent artists, we kind of want to innovate or change the release style, distribution, and I feel like that's worked for me over the last few years. I try to find new ways to release my music, and I think that helps instead of going the traditional path of like put out two songs. They have the audience for pretty much doing anything they want, right? They can do two songs and then put out the entire album without any sort of lead into it. Very few can do that, but some of them do. So I feel like they haven't had the demand to have artists kind of play around with formats or rollouts and stuff. Like they have like waterfall releases and like things like that. But apparently, I guess for Russ, he's doing it in a different way. It's not really like a waterfall style release. So I'm curious. I didn't really dig in, but just from reading surface level, he's kind of going through like he's having to like hack too much. Like it's a lot of like loopholes for him, which I think is kind of interesting.
It seems like that's a distinction between your method of release and his. Is he is very much trying to hack and overcome and get position his work inside of Spotify and Apple, and you have decided to not fight that current, build your own lane, go fully independent on releasing in your own channels of distribution. To even though your method also, you can package it however you want, but those aren't going into the album sales that Russ is trying to generate officially on Spotify. It seems like, would you agree that that is a distinction between how you both are building independently? He is trying to hack the existing systems to make them work into his vision, and you have said it's not worth fighting. I'm just going to build my own world and have
Yeah, 100.
less.
100%. And I think it's probably riskier for him to attempt to. I don't think it is. I think he has a strong core fan base where he can kind of say like, "Hey, let's coordinate and let's like I'm gonna make it happen here." He has this like voting thing recently where he'll like share like 7, 8 songs and people will go in and vote for their next one or something like that. So I think that's proof of for him that's his social proof for that. So if he were to roll out an album outside of the system, he might benefit a lot more, and then he can do it in his own way. he doesn't have to ask for permission or like having to hack away as much, right? He can definitely go in there and in my opinion, do something more creative because it seems like that's what he's trying to do, you know? So I wouldn't waste my time. I would build something from scratch and you know, make that shit happen.
What else do you want to cover on the Russ um, on the Russ news? Was there another topic in that we haven't touched on, or
No, that was it. That was it for me. I just wanted to bring it up and cover it because I kind of saw that and I got excited. I was like, okay, I was right in that sense of like an album, you having it, you know, on your own, like an artist owned album platform, whatever you're building, whatever you're doing, it makes a lot of sense, especially now. But that was it from my end on that. And again, Maravilla is taking a similar approach, so it connects to what we're doing and building.
what I'd like to do next is I'm using Codex from OpenAI and Cursor from the Cursor team to build out the Stripe page. I'm trying
Okay.
to lean back into more managing AI agents to write code instead of me getting my hands deep into code. It looks like Cursor has an error, so I'm unable to show that demo right now.
Okay.
But on the Codex side, I have a link that I'm going to send here in private chat, and I'd love to hear your initial thoughts on a one prompt implementation of a Stripe checkout page, so that way we can get into the details. I've just sent you the link. Would you mind sharing screen and going to that?
Give me 1 second. All right, I just got it. Let me open that and then share screen. Let's do. You see it, right?
I see it.
All
I
right.
see you. Yep.
Okay, so this is essentially the redirect from, let's say, what is it? The inventory page?
This is the checkout page. So in OpenAI's creation, it built out embedded checkout. So this is the first question I have for you is your
Yeah.
checkout page for Stripe. Do we want to embed Stripe's component into your site and keep people on your site when they enter in their credit card details? Or do we want there to just be a button and they click on it and it opens up a Stripe hosted checkout page? Which preference do you have? Entirely staying on your site or leveraging that brand in opening up a new Stripe hosted checkout page?
Man, I'm kind of liking keeping on our site because anytime I've used the Stripe service and it kind of redirects, I'm kind of like thrown off. I feel like it's a whole new kind of experience. Like I think like Midjourney does that. I've seen a few others that do that. A lot of the
OpenAI
AI,
does it. Cursor does it.
yeah, yeah. So having that experience there, because I can see the back to home here, which will take you back to the Maravilla city site. And this is familiar, right? It feels, looks familiar, and it's integrated into the site. I much prefer that, to be honest.
Okay. Do you have any specific feedback? Go ahead. What was that?
No, that I like that there's more context because on Stripe, you know, you're paying a subscription and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Which, you know, you understand what you're doing. But in our case, it's important to kind of say like, hey, what you're collecting, what you're getting out of this. So I'm liking this a lot. My honestly, my only feedback would be more around the colors on it. If we can find a way to match the site and then just kind of the copy and stuff like that. But that's, I can easily provide that, and me figuring out what's included or you know what's a part of it. But other than that, yeah, I think this is great.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
So
that's
in that case, we'll continue building in this direction.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Embedded in your site.
Definitely. I'm good with that for sure. I really like it. That's how I envisioned it as well, right? Like we already have this experience we built. We keep them in there. They feel part of that, you know?
In that case, my next step is going to be I'll do a quick pass to try to update the colors in the copy.
Okay.
Copy, I think I'll be more reductionist. I'll try reducing the stuff
Yeah.
that feels out of place rather than adding in things that I think I think additive will be more, I'll lean on you for. Reduction, I'll remove things that feel random and like were obviously written by an AI. And then I'll
Yeah.
add in the test mode. That way, when you scroll all the way down, I believe you should be able to. Can you go through the full checkout and just use that
Yeah.
42 number?
Yeah, let's do it.
You can enter in random info if you don't want to share.
Yeah, let's see. It's probably gonna pop up my.
Yeah, do 4242, spam it. Yep, there you go.
Really store. Blah, blah, blah.
We'll likely remove that. We'll likely remove the note.
Bam.
So in
Yeah,
this
that's
current experience, what are the biggest, other than color and copy, what other things stuck out to you emotionally as the most important things to change in this current checkout experience?
I'll keep it to digital delivery at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be key. That way, like this might be something separate, if it's product or physical. Um, I like a lot of the informational stuff. And then again, this just like this is what we want, right? We kind of want to let them know what they're purchasing, collecting, especially like some of my fans or supporters, if they haven't, in a while done a direct purchase. I think this would be, it feels familiar, but then also giving them a bit of context, then I think that's only going to help us. It's only favor us. But to
Cool.
be honest, like this is like a checkout flow, right? Like this is what you want, like straightforward, simple, familiar, and then they're collecting the album. So I'm curious, though, if what is the where would this start before the checkout flow? Is this happening on the center planet?
That is a great question. Right. So I assumed it would be the center planet. It sounds like you do as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, for
So
sure. Yeah,
center
absolutely.
planet, you want to go back home and let's talk through how this experience connects to the site that we already have.
Yeah, let's see. Will it take me back to? Yeah. Okay. All right. So at the moment, we have individual, let's say, music NFT, visual NFT, or whatever we decide is integrated to the center planet, and we're using Manifold. So it should populate the most recent song that I've minted in that contract. So in this case, I think another thing to think through is that the idea of if there is 14 songs as a part of the album and they're collecting, it's on the same contract, and then we'll have to kind of go off of the token IDs for the one transaction or whatever on the back end of that. But I'm assuming this comes out, right? And then we'll see, like, I don't know, the album cover, the official album cover, and then once they click collect, which is not okay, boom. I'm assuming after collect, it should redirect to the checkout page that you provided. I think that could be cool. And then I think I don't know if it's too many clicks or hops or whatever, but then it would be about like after purchase, what happens, because for us today, yeah, we had that where you collect and then it sort of showcased everything that you supported, right? Whether it
Mm-hmm.
was the visual music, there was a music player, there was a booklet with more information, there was videos and stuff like that. I think that's so simple, but I think it's cool in terms of like the access and the additional content that people are getting, and they'll feel part of it. Like I still think that's special, and there's a connection there. Um, I've supported projects like that where I collect, and then it not only am I getting something, but the redirect or whatever, it's something more personalized or unique, or and you kind of like you stay in it, because you're like you want to see what else is there. And I think for fans that really support, I think they'll appreciate that. So it's not just a one-sided transaction.
Where is the pay? I agree with you. Success experience, what they get after they buy is that emotional reward of doing the purchase. Is that page a page that we've already built, or are you thinking it's a net new page on success of the checkout flow?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's inventory is still blank at the moment, I think, if I'm not
It just
mistaken.
has tiles in it of the existing items
Right,
from
right.
Zora and Sound.
I keep thinking through, like, that's where people would want to see what they own and what they have. So I feel strongly about making that experience, right? And I was even thinking about potentially providing more data there, more real time data, whether it's like, I don't know, career milestone stats on there, populating that. That might take like an API or something, or kind of. I feel like Recoup has an integration like that, because when you ask it for Excelencia's latest, I don't know, release data or streams or monthly listener count, or I don't know, whatever you're into, it kind of brings that in. But I think that could be a cool access thing where people could actually see. Back a couple years ago, when I had people support me in the crowdfund, I gave the top 10 supporters access to my Spotify for Artists, so they can go in and see, like, I did a invite through email, but they can go like the real numbers, streams, locations, which playlists I'm on, my top cities. I thought that was interesting to kind of get them in there and check it out.
I agree. So you're thinking on checkout success, take them to the inventory page,
Yeah, yeah,
and then we'll update this inventory page to add on those extra bells and whistles.
exactly.
And we can definitely pull in Spotify data and anything that I can plug into with an API or via Recoup, we can plug in on that success page.
Yeah, that could be cool. And then they see what they own, and then they can see some additional things. I think that could be interesting.
Okay, so what I've got is I'll update the colors. I'll do copy reduction. I'll
Okay.
add in test stripe keys so that it actually does the test transaction. And it'll, right now I've got it plugged into my personal Stripe. So one thing I need from you is your publishable Stripe key and
Okay.
the publishable price that you want this to be sold for. I'll
Okay.
remove the vinyl option. I'll add in a backend webhook. That way you can plug it into your Stripe dashboard so that on purchase, it hits the API that will then send the items into their on-chain wallet, into their Ethereum wallet. It'll mint them on Manifold and then send them those items. And then I'll also update that success redirect to go to the inventory page on the successful transaction. Yeah, so what I need from you is Stripe. You were mentioning you were blocked before. Is that something you want to talk about on this call of how
Yeah.
Stripe is
So
blocking?
yeah, so right now it's like a tax ID issue, and it's not reflecting the current my business name, because I changed my company name, right? But I still have the same tax ID, and for them, they're not reading it. And I've been trying all year with the IRS for them to send me the form that reflects the new name with the same tax ID. So it's like we're in October. I've called, I've sent letters. I mean, you name it. I've done it all, and still nothing. So that's a block right there.
So
That's
you're
not.
currently unable to open up Stripe.
It's open, but they can't verify me, and I can't accept payments at the moment until they can verify tax ID with the business name. So it's a pain in the ass. So that's my only hurdle right now. But I kind of want to see what I can do. But if that's a blocker, then yeah, another something else to think through. But let me see. Let me see what I can make happen.
Yeah, that is an important step. So in my mind, there's two options either, well, three options. Two with Stripe.
Hmm.
Get it working with your current tax ID, figure out how to get it your ideal case of changing the name.
Yeah.
Option two, get a Stripe account working with either a new business that you open or in your personal social security.
Yep.
So that way you just get it working, even if it's not with the same name ID match that you're hoping for. Or
Exactly.
third, if neither of those two work, you're already accepting payments on your Shopify. We go over to where you are able to accept payments, which is Shopify. So that way we can move forward with accepting payments in your account.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me. I was thinking about option B. I feel like with option A, I found a different type of proof, and I want to see if they'll accept that in the meantime. Until the IRS gets their stuff together.
Okay. I think I've got my items. Sounds like you'll work through Stripe. For now, I'll build it in my own Stripe dashboard. Other than
Okay.
Stripe and Russ's evolving album, is there anything else you want to cover on this call before we start wrapping up?
Man, I think I'm good. Album's still rolling out. Got the next few singles coming out. I got a really cool opportunity on Tidal. I think you saw that. So Tidal's now allowing artists to do direct uploads to the platform on the cell phone. And I uploaded a rap that I had, a freestyle, and they placed it in a playlist, and I'm getting paid $100 a day while I'm placed, and they pay me direct to Cash App. And so like I had sent out a tweet in 2021 to Jack about artists accepting payments in Bitcoin via Tidal. So of course I tagged them again and I said maybe now's a cool opportunity to maybe pay in Bitcoin and not cash. But yeah, that's my last one for today.
Congrats.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it was exciting. It was really cool. I didn't expect it, but it's super cool. Again, direct. It was direct to artist, direct to fan. Like boom. No issues, no permissions, no friction, no Rust
No
issues,
distributor needed.
no distributor needed. I am the distributor in this case, and yeah, so excited about continuing to experiment with stuff like that.
10 years from now, do you think more platforms are leaning into artists being able to directly upload into major streaming? Or do you think the distributor role will continue to keep its hold on being the middleware between artists and streaming services?
Yeah, I think Tidal's taking a more kind of rebellious approach to it. Spotify tried that sometime, but I think they felt the heat, they felt the pressure, and then they eliminated that option. Tidal said we're gonna roll with it, you know, and it's a temporary campaign. I think it's until the end of the year, but I think it's a good experiment. So we might see a couple more doing that, but then the distributors, I think distributors are gonna have to adapt, and I think distributors are probably keeping an eye out more for direct to fan platforms, and whichever one is the one that starts kind of taking off, or they'll either start doing partnerships or look into acquiring them or something like that. I don't know. I think distributors had the opportunity to build their own direct to fan tools, but they didn't see it in their best interest then. But now they're kind of like, you know, it's happening, right? So I'm sure they're keeping an eye out on that. So we'll see. Maybe all the artists start building their own, you know, micro sites and mini apps and stuff, and we'll decentralize it further.
We'll be back in 2 weeks to keep you updated on the rollout of El Niño Maravilloso. Make sure you like and subscribe. Give Excelencia La Quisa a follow, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.